Can't beat a bit of porn on a Sunday.
Oh, I love a good woman's magazine.
What is that twat?
I don't know. Is he out of hospital yet?
Oh, yeah, he's been in hospital. AIDS?
No, he put it like it was his bowels and stuff, but now he's all Hollywood in the face of Front Row MMA.
Yeah.
Apparently, he's been for some cosmetic surgery.
Oh.
But it's I spoke to him on the phone. Apparently, you can hardly even notice it. It's just a little touch-up type stuff.
Oh, thank fuck for that.
Hey, boys.
Hello, Steve.
Awesome. Episode 7, eh? Can't wait. Can't wait.
What the fuck?
What?
So before we start the show, I just want to give a quick shout out to London Road Practitioners in Leicester.
Why?
Great work, thank you very much.
What have they done?
Hey?
What have they done?
Nothing for you, nosy. And you want to give a shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out my mate at work, Ashley Buwani, made us this awesome sign for the TV show.
Yeah,
Get over to his Facebook page. It's Ashley B. Woodcraft. Give him a like. Look at his stuff. Does candle holders, all sorts of bespoke stuff. Check it out.
See, we can see what he shouted out. Why are you shouting out? How come I don't get the shout out?
You kiss way too much ass as it is.
Yeah, good point.
It's episode 7, and on this week's show, we have Ian Cox. He's actually come on as a managing director with Fight UK as part of the 8-man tournament.
Yep.
Used to fight for Fight UK, and he owns his own business called CSS Leisure that does all event stuff.
It'd be interesting to get his sort of views on the fight game from the different perspectives he's got. So, yeah.
We also have the Tapout Challenge with Joseph Cummins.
Yay.
We have Teammates with Brendan Loughnane. And then we have an interview with Josh Foster. He takes on Chris Meyer at Fight UK 10, November 16th at the Athena. And then we also have the UK and TV event news for October for the not the whole, but some of the highlights for the UK MMA.
That was just for me, wasn't it, Clay?
That was for you.
Thank you.
So, starting off with the latest news, we have the UFC 165 recap. What are your thoughts on that?
That was a good event, wasn't it?
Great
How could
event.
you complain? Yeah.
I've not watched all the prelims yet, but all the main card was great to watch.
Alexander Gustafsson and John Jones, obviously, they dominated the news with what apparently is supposed to be the best title defense ever shown on TV.
Am I the only person that found that boring?
I think you did. I loved it. I loved it.
It was a great fight, wasn't it?
it was
I
awesome,
mean,
man.
I'm not sure it's the greatest title fight or the greatest fight of all time. But
We've had this argument already.
Oh, right.
It showed me what he apparently thought was.
Yeah, no, I like the Frank Shamrock Tito Ortiz fight is pretty kick-ass for how it happens and when it happened. That's a pretty awesome title fight. But you can't take anything away from these guys. They stood there and beat the shit out of each other for 25 minutes, and neither of them really tried to stop and rest. They were always working. It was a great fight.
And obviously, the biggest question everyone was stating after Gustafsson was robbed. He got the first 3 rounds. Now, after a week of people watching it, people are changing their mind, saying, no, John Jones did actually edge it. What do you reckon?
Well, I had 2, 4, and 5 to Jones. I think you had the same.
Yeah,
5 was definitely close, but 4 Jones definitely.
Yeah, I thought 49-46 might sounded a bit harsh, but in the cold light of day, I suppose you could look at it and find a justification for it. I'm not sure you could look at it and find a justification for Alex winning.
Bisping's out, and Machida has stepped in. Bisping had the detached retina injury a few months back, and it's an underlying problem. He's got it again, and he's going to be out for a further 6 to 8 months, I think it's been reported. So now we've got Machida in against Munoz.
Machida making his middleweight debut.
Yeah, so is actually coming down to middleweight.
Yeah,
No.
This is his middleweight debut. I mean, how can anyone complain about this fight? Got the former.
I'm a little bit more excited about this fight.
Got the former light heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah,
you got Munoz, who was on the verge of a title shot, 1 fight away, and why not? This is a tasty fight.
Machida's never really done well against wrestlers, though, has he? He's always backed off and played safe. And Munoz is definitely going to want to take him down and ground and pound.
It's going to be. I mean, again, this is one of the stylistic things, isn't it? Is Munoz going to be a little more aggressive than Henderson was? Yeah, I think probably after watching that fight, I think he knows he can't just stand and wait because that's what Machida.
Yeah, that's what
so. Machida, it's hit and miss whether or not you get an exciting fight, but I think with Munoz,
I think it's a great matchup. I think it's as good as you could have had for Bisping.
Yeah.
The only downside is to it, like I think Clayton said it to me earlier. Bisping in Manchester would have been amazing.
Oh yeah,
like
atmosphere-wise, it would have gone.
I've never heard a crowd louder than UFC 70 when he came out to fight Sinasek, and he's a lot better now than he was then. He's a lot more well known now than he was then, and that crowd was mental there.
I mean, if our ticket sales are gone at the minute, though, I'm not sure that it's going to go too well now. Bisping's dropped out. That might have been the
one of the draws for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, they've had to put a big name in, obviously, with Machida. So,
Machida's fought in the UK before as well. So he fought Sokoju in the UK. Anyone saying that we're not getting names, though, really?
Yeah.
We've got Machida and we've got Munoz. One of the top middleweights in the world. As I said, Machida, former light heavyweight champion. We got some names on this card. We've got,
when he comes to the country, should we welcome him with a bottle of piss? He seems to like drinking urine, doesn't he?
Well, to each their own.
I'm Machida, welcome to the UK.
Probably wouldn't, Clayton.
No?
Well, you can if you want, and me and Steve will stand out the way.
Yeah, well out of the way. Can we film though?
Yeah, I can film from as far as you like.
Well, that's it for the latest news. Yesterday I interviewed Josh Foster, of which his first question was, "Where's Steve?"
Well, that's because
Luckily I didn't press record then, because he got plenty of that and that. But here's an interview with Josh Foster, who's fighting on Fight UK 10 on November 16th?
November 16th.
November 16th. Yeah. So here's Josh Foster now. In the last interview where we caught you dogging, you said that you'd become quite matey with Chris. Not so much now?
Probably taken out of context a little bit, not matey. I'm trying to, we probably spoke a little bit, on Facebook, but nothing too much really. He deleted me off Facebook actually recently.
Really?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh, obviously, it's probably down to the fact that you're fighting each other.
Yeah.
That he just didn't like you.
Hopefully, down because we're fighting each other. But yeah, no, I can understand. Stuff like that doesn't really bother me though. No, anyway. But I wouldn't say we were mates. We'd probably get on if we were training together. Hopefully, we can train together after this fight because we don't live too far away from each other, and we all kind of train within. We've trained with the same group of people.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And what are your thoughts on Chris Meyer as a fighter?
There's not that much to see really. From most of his fights, they've been on, I think, Sprawl and Ball show.
Yeah,
seems to be a pretty low key local run show. So if you look at 3 of his 4 wins, they're from guys who are like 0-6, 0-4. But from what I have seen, he looks like he's someone you want to avoid putting on his back early. And I'm sure he's improved his striking, but there's not too much on his striking really, especially in the fight with Mark Hanley, where it didn't really last too long to get anything useful out of it. Dangerous though. Dangerous can, as we've seen, can finish the fight pretty quickly if you give him the opportunity.
Where would you say he's more dangerous?
Sorry,
where would you say he's more dangerous?
Submissions. I think if he takes you down and you try and get up and you give him your head, I think if you let him wrap his hands around your neck, then you're in trouble. He's got a good body type for like Derby chokes and anaconda chokes and those kind of things.
He's obviously his head coach is Kevin Webb, that's black belt under Bradley Steamer.
Right.
Oh, right. Well, I've just given you a bit of info there, so I'm sorry, Chris, if you see this. But obviously, what kind of things have you done to combat where he's more dangerous?
It's hard for me to answer that question without giving too much away, But To be honest, the guys that I train, well, obviously drill wrestling loads, we spar wrestling loads. The guys that I train with are all in around 70 kilo kind of range, and there's some sick wrestlers there, some really good wrestlers. So my wrestling's pretty much on point. Just making sure I'm training all round, really. I know it's a bit of a cliche answer, but I've worked seriously hard, and most of all, I've really worked on my strength and conditioning for this fight, because I know that's going to be important. But I think I had to address some strength issues generally in my MMA kind of career. I think I've done that pretty well. I think that'll help me quite a lot in this fight, because he's not the smallest guy at flyweight, you know. So, but I reckon I'll address that.
Now, obviously, your last fight was against Mark Adley. His last fight was against Mark Adley, which means that he's been out of cage for longer than you. Do you think that gives you some form of advantage?
I think so, but like you said, conversely, I haven't fought for a little while either, so it might cancel each other out, because it's been a good while since I last fought as well. The main advantage really in terms of being out of the game is that he did have a knee injury. I'm pretty sure he had to have surgery on his knee, so that would have taken him out for a while. But you know, he started this training camp up not very long ago, so he's had plenty of time to prepare for it. I don't think it will inhibit him too much, really. From what I've seen, he seems to be training hard. So.
Obviously, unfortunately, you have a loss on your record. He hasn't. He's still undefeated. Does that kind of thing play on your mind? Is that something that he could enter the fight and you could use to your advantage?
No. It doesn't play on my mind at all, because if you just look at the guys that he's fought, you know, like, I think most of the guys that I fought would have, at pro level, would have given him a really, really tough fight and probably would have beaten him, especially Mark Connor.
Yeah.
I can't see him now where he's out beating Mark Connor. And I stole around with Mark Connor and, you know, eventually got out grappled in that. But if you look at the guys that I've fought and look at the guys that he's fought, then I think that it puts me and definitely an experience advantage.
So Josh Foster, he's fighting Chris Meyer November 16th, Fight UK 10. He's the headliner up to now. Anyways, he's down as the headliner. What do you think to the fight?
It's an interesting fight. Both these guys are on a bit of a roll. I mean, Meyer looked so impressive the last time we saw him there. It's a good fight.
Did Josh Foster.
I mean, this is
both last fight were against Mark Handley.
Yeah, you know, it's going to sound like that I'm ass kissing, but you know, after
really,
yeah, woo, imagine that surprise. But you know, one of the things that Fight UK do well is, you know, they put together matches that people want to see. All I have to say is, you
Looking
know,
for work.
All I have to say is Bahati Howlands, you know, straight away, and you boys were like, hey, and we were they put on some good fights. This is another good fight.
Yeah,
this is a good fight, but I expect it to be like a one in the scramble. Do you know what I mean? I think it'll be like really lively on the floor and stuff. But Fight UK, I know like he sucks ass, but if they get all the fighters that they've put down so far, fucking hell, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I actually made a mistake. I thought Chris Meyer had fought at bantamweight all the time, but apparently he's been down to flyweight before. But being a bigger guy than Foster, do you think that will pay any attention to the fight?
You know, it's an MMA fight, so anything can happen. But I think it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a GMP finish, ground and pound finish by Foster for a TKO, or it's going to be a submission by Meyer.
That's how I expect it to be played out.
That's what I think they'll do.
I think if Foster's going to win, it's going to be in the third round. It's going to be second or third round. I actually asked him to call it, and I think he said second round TKO. But I think you're talking probably late second round. If Foster's going to win, it's going to be late second, third round, simply because Chris Meyer's a lot bigger guy, and he'll probably tire out a lot quicker. That guy's got to get his conditioning on point for this fight.
It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. That's going to be. It's going to be as entertaining as Jack Young and Lavelle on paper. It's going to be fight of the night.
The fact that it's a pick 'em and we are genuinely like just not sitting on the fence. We actually don't know who's going to win it. Proves it's a good fight.
Definitely. Right, so one of the best points of the show and one that quite a lot of people like is the Tapout Challenge.
Yay.
And on this show we have Joe Silk Cummins. Now, Joe Silk Cummins is the, I don't know if he's the head coach, but he's certainly one of the main coaches down at UTC in Birmingham. he does actually fight, but his main job right now is as a coach to Vaughan and Yannick and the rest of the guys. Top guy, quite intimidating, and is the Tapout challenge with Joseph Cummins now.
I'm fucking scared to death. Oh no! Yeah. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, oh fuck. Oh, shoulder. This is the problem with being old man shape.
So push it down, you know, shoulder from a triangle. Strong legs then.
That one fucking hurt.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. Oh, he's not talking. One last point, 200. Yeah. He wins. High level. High level. High level. Too high level.
Oh, come on! No, it's alright. I dropped it.
Yeah, he's so sweet. No, not no, yeah, man.
I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, does he have a foot fetish off of that kid? Are you okay?
Yeah.
It's too strong. Oh, shoulder up again. Oh, shit.
Well, that's one for the good guys.
So Joseph Cummins actually puts him third place. Leon Edwards is still at the top. How was it to?
No, he was just fucking with me, wasn't that? That's
I don't think he had any intention of going for the fastest time possible.
No, he just
wanted to hit.
He just
Pain.
I'll just lie on my back and faster. I mean, I should have got if I was smart, I'd have got up and just walked to the other side of the gym. All right, you lie there. You're not tapping me out.
Yeah, but obviously the warrior in you don't allow you to do that. Yeah.
That's it.
Warrior
That's
spirit and all that. Like John Jones got the warrior spirit.
Oh,
Like
yeah, my knee still hurts. When
so
it's
a question burning in my mind is obviously
do anal?
no, that's not a question.
Do you
I know
swallow?
that shit. It does that as well.
Do you have a monkey wearing boots?
I do.
Neither of them.
No,
but obviously been to UTC now.
Yeah,
You've
who's
done
the best?
3 of them. Leon, Vaughan.
Yeah.
So who would you not want the rematch with?
Oh, I can answer that easily. I don't, and it's not even being Switzerland. It's just being honest. None of them, man. I don't want to do that.
No. Switzerland. That is. You're sitting on the fence. You're sitting on the fence.
I don't want any of them getting.
Switzerland
Okay,
and Birmingham.
I think.
Who's the best?
Silk fucked my
Who's
knee
the
up.
best?
Who's the best?
Vaughn fucked my
You're
shoulder
already called
up.
Vaughan shit,
Yeah, that's true. I did say Vaughn was
so you
no
might as well
good.
go with it.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll stick with that. We'll go with it's the time, isn't it? And I think the three of them
now
need
you're
to.
saying Silk
Silk,
shit.
Well, it's all about Rocky at the moment, isn't it? I'm afraid.
So, as the table stands right now, Leon Edwards is really good and Vaughan and Silk is shit, according to Steve. So, moving on to the highlights of the last month. So, obviously, every month we go out and about and go to events.
Well, some of us do.
Yeah, some of us. So, the 3 events we covered this month were FCC7, Fight UK Amateur 4,
I was there.
and BAMMA 13. So,
I
starting
was
with
there. I was 2 out of 3.
FCC7.
Ain't bad.
Starting with FCC7, what was your highlight fight of that night?
Well, the fight that stood out most for me was probably Manny Akpan's debut. This kid came out, and you could see that sort of he had those debut jitters, but good God, was he throwing some incredible strikes, flying knees, punching. he worked and worked and worked, gassed himself out, got that adrenaline dump in the second, so was on the receiving end.
Admitted that in the interview.
Yeah,
as well.
and then in the third round, you know, sucked it up from somewhere and went out and put a beating on him again. And his striking was sharp.
I think I called him Aaron Laveau with kicks.
Yeah, for a kid and for 9 months training.
Yeah.
No, that was impressive.
Yeah.
When we was up at SBG, like he was only one of the guys I caught the interview with at the end, and he seemed a bit sort of like timid and shy, and it didn't come across great in his interview. But all the lads in the background that were sort of taking the piss out of him at the time, were saying he's a fucking beast. So like,
he proved that. He proved that in the fight. I can't wait for it to come out on either YouTube or I think they're on my channel now. They're on Sky. Yeah. If you get a chance to watch it, you've got to watch it. Manny Akpan, he was the first or one of the first fights on the card, and it basically showing what the old show was going to be like for the rest of the night.
Yeah,
if the fights were going to be like that, you're in for an entertaining night.
Yeah, and again, it's 9 months of training, first time in the cage. There were some holes in his game that you could see, but again, he more than made up for with just how relaxed in the first and the third his striking was, and just some wicked knees.
Totally agree with you. Manny Akpan was definitely a standout fight, but obviously you've got to get to Brendan Loughnane as well for coming back off the tough series.
Yeah, he came in and, you know, fought a tough guy and, you know, didn't look in trouble at all. I mean, it was 3 rounds of beat down, really.
Decision to Brendan. I've watched the last episode back, by the way. I called it, not you cunt. So Brendan, next time you see me, not this dick. I know we look like both fat and bold and that, but it was me, yeah. I'm the knowledgeable one.
I'll edit this out.
Yeah, well done.
Moving on to Fight UK Amateur 4. There was 2 highlights really for us. Definitely the headliner and the co-headliner. Chris Miles' fight against Patrick Polish.
Why did you like that one so much?
It just drama, wasn't it? It was amazing. 2 big heavyweights standing up, trying to punch the shit out of each other, wobbling around. It was pure drama. That was the fight of the night. Heart.
Absolute heart in both fights.
The Polish guy, fuck knows I was standing by the end of it. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it looked like he was unconscious walking. Do you know what I mean? It was that good. They were just knocking the shit out of each other in the finish. And like as he finished him, the fucking lights went out and everything. It was amazing. But I know you're going to say you guys fought fucking...
I mean, again, talk about, you know, just from a technical
from
point
a 3-round technical, evenly matched, both guys showing fucking what MMA is about. That was the fight of the night.
Yeah, but for hard,
fucking hell, what am I watching?
But it's amazing, isn't it? Because again, it's the drama of the heavyweights. You know, everyone says that's the. When you think of the UFC or you think of Bellator, you don't tend to necessarily go straight to think of the heavyweights. Yeah. You think of other, but it's the heavyweight draw, isn't it? There's something about, you know, these huge guys.
2 big guys.
These win the fight. Yeah, and sometimes you get an heavyweight guy that, you know, like leans on someone.
But usually when you got that first round, you think, oh god, here we go. Yeah, this is going to be boring.
And they were gassed, but they were still swinging, man. Yeah, it's sort of a purist versus a brawl, isn't it? It's you know, technique versus heart and grit. But
like you've already said, Aaron Laveau versus Jack Young, absolutely amazing fight. You got an 18-year-old, a 22-year-old, amateur fighters that fought like absolute pros.
Yeah, it was stunning. I mean, and again, let's give a little bit of credit to the promotion because they put on fights like this
on an amateur card as well.
We argued that it should have been the headliner, but obviously after Chris Miles' fight, we was like, no, fair enough. That could be the headliner.
Again, you know, the heavyweights kind of just, you know, push their way into the front of the queue, but so deserved to be there at the end.
Yeah,
that's good. Just some great fights on that card all the way through.
Chris Miles, do you reckon he could do like some damage in the British heavyweight scene?
I think
he's still got to learn. He had a lot of time out, didn't he? And I think, you know, another 12, 18 months of just continuous training and evolving and learning. I think he could be on the British scene. He could be he could be a BAMMA champ.
And heavyweights tend to be able to fight a lot sort of later on in their careers than the lighter weights. I don't see one. He's got power. He's got heart. He can take a shot. I mean, not only was he landing, but he also ate some pretty big shots himself.
It's safe to say he's never going to get down to light heavy.
No.
Because the guy's just bulk.
Yeah, he's no.
There's no fat. He's just bulk.
Yeah, isn't that's what you tell yourself when you're looking at it. I'll never get back to light heavy.
Well, I've said that one out.
I tell you, it smells like a spunk. That was in Orange Town mode.
Yeah.
Right, and then moving on to BAMMA 13.
Right,
what was the highlight? Colin Fletcher?
Only one choice for me. That was fight of the night for me.
I think so.
Everything about that fight was great. Both guys.
The transitions were
some of the submission defense.
Colin Fletcher versus Tim Newman.
Sorry,
Tim played a part in it.
Absolutely. I mean, it takes two to tango for fight of the night, and both these guys again were there to win, and it just seemed it was a different kind of freak show to the one we've seen from the UFC twice. You know what I mean?
It's quite strange because the first time we saw him at BAMMA, obviously he got his gimps and he come out and he knew that he was good and he was smiling and he was having a laugh. When we interviewed him after, he seemed still a little bit reserved, almost as though he's still got to prove that. Even though he comes out in a clown mask and he comes out joking about,
I'm not a joke.
Yeah. So moving on, another regular part of the show is teammates, and this show we have Brendan Loughnane. Here we go.
Right. Okay, Musa. Gangster rap. Let's all jump round, boom, boom, boom. Nah, not my scene. Away. Norman, we're training Norman. It's a good training with Norman. Lazy trainer. That's probably me. Yeah, I'm always last in, but I'm always last to leave. Me? Oh my god, did you not see my dance on the show? Oh my god. Recently started training Robin Mick Sinclair. Giving me good rounds at the moment, so I'd say probably them, give me good rounds. Adam Waterfield. That's like a pool, mate. It's like swimming. It's like going swimming with it. Put armbands on sometimes to grapple it. Me.
How bad is it?
Can be bad, but nah, I am bad sometimes. Sometimes I'm really bad. Cade, that's definitely Cade. This one, and this one, and this one. Does my chest look bigger today? Yeah, definitely Cade. Freak show.
What kind of stuff?
Mad stuff that you can't teach for. Mad stuff that you can't prepare for. Yeah, just mad stuff. Mad submissions out of nowhere. Great. Norman, because he was the heaviest. So he's always like on and off, one of them. Couldn't really tell you, No, I don't know. No, I don't know. Bowler. Big bowler. Yeah.
And that was teammates with Brendan Loughnane. Nice guy, and it was a great win at FCC.
Yeah.
And next up, we have special guest Ian Cox. We spoke about him earlier. He owns CSS Leisure. He's taken on with Fight UK now as one of the managing directors. And here's the interview with Ian Cox.
Front Row MMA, we're here with Fight UK's new managing director, Ian Cox. And Ian, it's fair to say that your involvement in MMA, well, it goes back a long, long way. But you started, I believe, with judo. And, you know, when did that start? How did that happen?
I started judo when I was 5. It's something I've always done since I can remember, to be fair. Like a lot of kids, we used to go once, twice a week, have a bit of a giggle with it till I got to 9, 10 years old. I started competing, and it just sort of went from there, really. Was that a parental choice, or was it something I'd like to try judo? Why judo? Why not boxing, or in Britain? Bit of both, really. My dad used to do judo when he was sort of younger, and one of the lads that I used to knock about with when I was a kid who lived over the back of me, he went, so I kind of started going with him, and it just sort of snowballed from there, really.
And so you're 9 or 10, and now you're starting to compete. So you're starting starting to take it a little seriously. How far did you take it?
We went from the age of sort of 11 onwards. I started competing internationally. That carried on till I was 21 when I finished competing. So I went through the ranks with the BJC, then I changed to BJ when I got to 14 years old. Worked my way up through the cadets and then through the junior ranks of that, which is like their under 21s. Fought all over Europe, fought all over the States. Then stopped competing when I was about 21, really.
Was there ever the ambition to take that judo perhaps one step? Were you always like trying for the Olympics or the Commonwealth Games? Like, how did that?
Yeah, it got to that sort of stage when I was that sort of age. It was from when I left school. That's what I wanted to do. It was judo. I was going to train full time, and obviously we were aiming for the Olympics, Worlds, Commonwealths, Europeans, etc., etc. I got to that sort of stage when I was sort of 20, 21, which is really where it kind of, you either go or you don't. Met women, had kids, all went wrong. Job done.
Damn those women, they always get in the way. Sorry, babe. So where did the transition to, because I know you competed MMA, I know you had, and you're now working with Fight UK, but where did that sort of transition happen? Where did you move from judo into climbing into a cage for the first time?
I think it was 2000, 2001. Again, just before I finished, I'd knocked the judo on the head a little bit. I started training at the time with the guys who are now running Leicester Shoot Fighters. There was literally 4 or 5 of us. We used to roll around a mat in a little sports centre. Going back, to that sort of period, there was really only a couple of shows knocking about.
Well, yeah, this is before MMA was sort of on vogue in the UK. How did you discover it? Was it just because of these lads?
What it was, I think one of the lads at judo got some, because we used to go to the States and train and whatever. One of them got some really old UFC tapes, like UFC 1 and 2. And I watched it, I thought, this is fantastic. People sort of know that, I've been partial to a bit of scrapping before in the past. So it was a bit of a natural progression, really. Just, I like to fight, simple as that. So I got on the internet. There used to be a forum, SFUK. It was just a matter of sort of chatting to people on there. So I hooked up with these guys in Leicester, trained for about 2 weeks, and I decided to have a fight. I decided to offer Danny Batten out, which was, it was fun.
Before we talk about your involvement with Fight UK, I think, as well as punching people in the face and getting punched in the face, there's a pretty keen business mind standing in front of me. You've worked CSS for a good few years. It's really starting to take off. Where did that interest come from? If you like scrapping on the street, some people are going to find it a pretty hard place to, well, how does that translate to having good business acumen? But you obviously do.
Again, I started doing the doors 15 years back. Again, it went hand in hand because I was training full time in my judo. I was doing a lot of coaching, but it was a bit of extra money at the weekends. I used to train with a lot of the doormen, like local doormen that used to run sort of classes, and they used to have lots of animal days that they were called back then. Yeah. So again, it was just a case. I was 15. I knew a lot of the lads because obviously we used to go down scrapping in the clubs and whatever when we was kids. I sort of got invited along to the doorman's training sessions that they were having at the time. Obviously, because of I was at quite a high level at judo at that sort of time. I was, out grappling sort of, 18, 19 stone lads. Because a lot of them were doing bits and bobs of judo, but obviously they weren't sort of anywhere near the level that I was at. So that sort of went from there. Ended up doing a few nights here and there on the door. Meant to be a little bit of pocket money. Obviously, 15 years later, we're still there. But that was it really. It progressed to as I sort of got older. People were sort of asking me to supply, certain places with door staff. Can you come and look after this place? Can you look after that place? And it's just sort of grown from there, really. And then once the security started taking off, it was just a natural progression, really. Then over the last few years to sort of make it as a proper company rather than just sort of doing what we were doing before back how it was. It's all now. It's legit. It's above board. It's all sort of, you know, we're trying to push it in different directions, trying to diversify, not just with the security, but with looking at sort of how the economy is at the minute. It's crap. Everybody knows that. People aren't going out as much as they used to. So I thought, well, what do we do? Do we try and take a bigger area? I mean, as it is, we've got 120 door staff work for us on a regular basis. Or do we sort of diversify and start trying to supply different things, which is what we've done. Obviously, we like facilities management type stuff with a pest control, with a, you know, we've got a cleaning company now. So again, that was it basically.
Did you surprise yourself with that though? I mean, I know Clayton's told me that one of your fondest memories, one of his fondest memories of something you did on Facebook, so you put a picture of your car up at school, and this is, you know, yeah, this for the bastard who told me I'd never get anywhere. Did you surprise yourself, or did you know that you were the sort of person that had a mind that could sort of take something like a security company and branch it out? Where did that come from?
I suppose, you know, at school, I mean, I got good grades at school. I didn't like school. I left when I was 16. I surprised a lot of my teachers with the grades I got, but that's just, I've always been like that. You know, you can put something in front of me, and I don't have to work for years and years and years like all the other kids are, you know, working the bollocks off through lessons, doing this, that, the other. I took no notice half the time, went into the exams and did all right. Do you know what I mean? It's that sort of, it's mainly common sense. That's what it is. I think, again, I think a lot of it came from sort of competing as well. You know, the whole nerve. I've got mates at school that were really, really clever and completely fucked their exams up because nerves or whatever it may be. Whereas, you know, with myself, it's just that sort of, I don't really get nervous with things. You know, you learn to, I think anybody who competes for a long time in, whether it be in, you know, MMA, judo, athletics or whatever they're doing, I think you learn to sort of control that, which I think's helped me a lot through life in general, to be fair, and in business. You know, I mean, people make rash decisions. People sort of, you know, when you get on top and you got all these bills to pay and you got no money in the bank, people panic and they either fold it or they disappear or they make wrong decisions. Where it's just, it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, you've just got to keep your head slightly level and try and do what you can.
I'm just wondering if Alan Sugar sounded like this at one point. Down on the dogs, gotten a few scraps, sold some stuff. Look, you're now involved with Fight UK, and again, people have accused me of being a suck ass before, and they're going to again now. But I think it's fair to say that certainly in the Midlands, certainly Central England, there's not many better amateur events or better events than Fight UK. How did this involvement? How did you get involved with them?
Obviously, I've been involved with Fight UK since day one, from like the security aspect. Again, Alistair obviously started it. He was a year above me at school. I've known him for. He wasn't a close friend or anything, but you know, I know him and we know each other. He basically just messaged me one day, sort of saying, "I'm doing an MMA show. I know you've done a bit before. Can you help me? Can you do the security?" And I was a bit taken back, because obviously I didn't know he was. Obviously, I'd been away from MMA at this time for probably 6-7 years. Hadn't really had anything to do with it, apart from obviously going to watch Jimmy and people like that, and sort of didn't really know much about what had happened. And obviously, it had taken off a lot since when I competed on like Millennium Brawl and stuff down at you know, Lee Asdale's events and stuff back in the day. So yeah, it was just a case of sort of, obviously we came on board to do the security, because obviously that's one of the things we do, is we do a lot of the boxing shows. We now do a lot of the MMA shows across the country, not just across Midlands. We go north, south, east, west, because that's what we can sort of specialise in it because of our background in the sport. It makes it a lot easier to run the security for the shows when you do that, and you know the camps, you know a lot of the fighters, a lot of the fans know you, because it's still a relatively small circuit. So with regards to Fight UK, we came on board, obviously did the security for Fight UK 1. I got the buzz back a bit, as you do. Yes, I've been away from a bit, and then Alistair was, why don't you get in, have a go? And it was that kind of, because I got back. Obviously, I speak to Jimmy a lot, and I started going back training a little bit, because I've been away for quite a long time. Got a bit fat, as you do. No comment. So yeah, that was it then. Basically, we did the security for the first couple. Obviously, I fought on a couple of them since. I fought on 3 Fight UKs, and then after obviously the Vaughan fight, when I'd sort of decided, well, I'm going to take a step back, because obviously because of my eye and finances, it was just a sort of natural progression that Fight UK were looking for, or Alistair and Dave were sort of looking for somebody to give them a bit of a new direction, a bit of a push, bring some fresh ideas on board. And that's what we've done.
So Fight UK is changing in 2014, going back to a more amateur-based route, but there's a difference. What's the difference?
There's a big difference. 2014, obviously, we want to concentrate on the amateur side of things. We're still going to have the pro guys that we bring up through the amateur ranks. You know, the local guys, the sort of guys that have had a couple of fights that we're trying to bring on. But we are going to be concentrating on the big amateur platform. The format for 2014, again, we sort of looked around and everybody does the same thing. With regards to an MMA show, everybody does the same thing. They open the doors, you have an undercard, you have your couple of mates, you have probably a load of stupid intervals, which everybody gets pissed off at. Then you have your main card, they might go and get a couple of drinks at the bar and then you go home. That's how an MMA show is run. So we thought, right, okay, we're putting these fantastic cards together, so we can't really improve on the quality of the fighters that we're putting on because they're fantastic. So what can we do? Let's change the format of the show. So what we're doing is obviously we're still having an undercard, which is obviously mainly amateur based. A couple of pro fights, and then an 8-man tournament for each weight group at the end. Is like the main event for each show. Obviously, the big sort of difference between us and other people is we're putting up a $3 prize pot for each weight group. So there's going to be 8 guys in a tournament. They have the same fight, or they have 3 fights in one. To get to the final, they're having 3 fights in one night, which again is slightly different to a lot of people who run tournaments. They'll have, you know, the first round, and then a couple of months later they'll have the second and the third. It's going back to sort of like martial arts roots. You know, you go back any sort of, you go back 10, 15, 20, 50 years to any sort of judo, karate competition, anything like that, any of the traditional stuff. It was all tournament format. So why not do it for MMA? There's no reason why you can't. There has been shows in the past that have done it, and I think they're really, really entertaining. You know, there's been shows over in Holland. There's been a couple in the UK. Yeah,
the one that Martin Stapleton and Andre Winter and Tommy Miller, Tommy Maguire were all involved in. It is not something that's unheard of. No. Just, I'm sorry, how much for the amateurs?
£3,000.
£3,000.
£3,000.
Now that's something, dude.
It is. It's basically, if you win one of those tournaments, you'll be walking away with a £2,000.
Why did you go? You know, you can get amateurs to fight for, you know, ticket money, and good ones.
You can, yeah, you can. I mean,
why did you guys want to offer it?
The thing is, I think with the amateurs, that's, you know, my personal opinion is people turn pro far too quickly. And sort of talking to people, it's because of the money. That's why they're going to get a purse. Now, if obviously what we're doing is we're going to get, you're never going to get the 8 top guys in the country, but you can get 8 of the top 12 guys, 13 guys, you know, due to timings for whatever. That's what we're doing on a sort of invite only. That's what we're looking for, the cream of the crop of the amateurs. They'll get invited into the tournament, and it gives them a platform to work on. You know, it's sort of, if they can win that and take $2,000, that's more than they'd take in ticket money doing however many shows. You know what I mean? It's that sort of, it gives them something.
Clayton wants to know if you're worried that other people are going to, you know, watch and see the first couple of shows, pray that you fall flat in your face, and when you don't, copy the idea.
Yeah, they will. It's as simple as that. You know, it's a great idea, it's a great format, but are they going to be able to implement it like we are? That's the thing. We've got the venue, we've got the people, we've got the gyms, we've got the fighters, we've got the know-how, and we've got the money. That's the big thing. A lot of people haven't. You know, you see it knocking around all the time. So I've seen so many shows offering X amount of £1,000 in prize money, and you know, you hear all these stories about nobody's getting paid, and it's not just small shows, it's big shows. It happens because some shows try and make themselves too big. They're trying to, you know, they spend stupid amounts of money on stupid things. At the end of the day, you've got to look after the fighters. Without the fighters, you haven't got a show. So predominantly, they're the first people you look after. Then it's your customers, your paying punters. You've got to look after them. You've got to give them value for money, which is why we work so hard on the production side of things, rather than just you know, chucking it in a room, putting a cage in the middle of it, and get on with it. It's worth spending that bit of extra money on the lights, on you know, creating that atmosphere, so people want to come back. We want to take it mainstream, not just selling tickets to, you know, fighters' mates that want to come and see it, or gyms or whatever it may be. We want to get the general public involved. We want to get which again, you know, when they're fighting for a decent amount of money in the tournament format, it makes it a lot more interesting. Yeah. Again, there's a certain boxing promotion that did a similar thing, and it really did give British boxing a kick up the arse, with, you know, with regards to sort of viewer ratings and just general interest in, you know, in British boxing. It's because of the way it is with a tournament, people, they fight differently, if that makes sense. They've only got a very short amount of time to they've got to win that fight to get through to the next one. So what you usually find is that first round, they just come out swinging. There's no taking the time, you know, like you would do in a normal fight, sort of weighing each other up. Literally, they come out swinging to knock this geezer out, because they don't want to be doing 3-4 rounds for 3 fights. They want to do one round, and then get into the final. So that's what it is.
I got to say, I'm excited about seeing it. I think that it's going to propel, certainly amateur MMA, to a different... people are going to take it a little more seriously than they do already. I think you're going to have camps fighting to get involved in the event. Look, before we let you go, and this is a tough question, sum up what Fight UK 2014 is going to be like as succinctly as possible, as quickly as possible. If you can give me a sentence that tells me why I want to go and see Fight UK in 2014, can you do it?
Fucking electric.
Awesome. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to give a shout out to? Anybody you'd like to thank?
Everybody who's involved in Fight UK. There's too many to mention. Obviously, with all the backstage staff, this, that, the other. Obviously, the main guys: Ali, Dave, Sandeep. All the gyms, all the fighters, and everybody buys tickets and comes and supports Fight UK because they know what it is.
So that's it for this show.
Great show.
Thanks for watching, and our next show will be around about October 27th. Thank you for watching.
UFC. Laters.